If it's happening in the NBA, you know I got you covered. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
The media making me a villain, the fans making me a villain, and then that just creates a whole different persona on me.
Maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting him to do that game 4, game 5. He wanted to say something when I got my 4th foul. He should have been saying that earlier on. But, you know, I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40.
Talk about it!
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets.
Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets. You already know how we do, family. Brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, aka Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513, on IG at JustBlaze513, on Facebook and YouTube. Search Above the Rim Podcast. Also email the show as well, Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. You know the line is always open. 908-718-1592, family. Best way to support the show is by copying merch, as always. Link is in my bio. Show some love. I appreciate anything and everything. Of course, family, make sure you leave your boy a review on iTunes, on Spotify, if you rock with the show. If you're watching that on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up as well. Subscribe, comment, show some love. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear from the family, especially in this playoffs. I want to hear from the family. So, joining me this week, family, one of my guys that I've connected with in this podcast game for a minute now. Very knowledgeable, brother. The Zion Williamson Shield, I'm going to call him tonight. Host of The Real Deal, my boy Damian Adams. What's good, my brother?
Hey, what's good, man? It's getting harder and harder to be the Zion Shield out here. It's getting real hard in these streets, man.
You see, you wasn't expecting that. You know, I got you.
Yeah.
I know you the Shield, my brother. You know, that's great because we're going to talk about him. I was saving this for you. So we are most definitely going to hit into to Zion because we know you the Shield, my brother. I need you to come here to defend my guy because I'm about to jump off the ledge when it comes to Zion. So yeah, appreciate you joining me, my brother. Let's get right into this action because there is much to discuss. You know what time it is, family. How we start off the show, each and every show. The often imitated but never duplicated segment, Copping or Dropping. I'm seeing a lot of people, y'all stealing my damn segment. I'm not going to call you out, but I'm going to let this rock. Often imitated but never duplicated. Copping or Dropping. Throw out a hot take. If you agree with it, you're copping. If DA disagrees with it, he's dropping it. He's going to tell us why. I already called my man the Zion Williamson Shield. Well, you know we had to get into it, man. So let's talk about Zion real quick to open up the show, my brother. Obviously, the Pelicans missed the playoffs this season. You're a strong supporter of the Pels, so I know you were disappointed this year. Maybe if Zion was on the floor a little bit more, the Pelicans would have been in the playoffs right now, and we would be having a different kind of episode. But Zion, 22 years old, 4th year in the league with a tough injury history. He played in 24 games as a rookie in 2019, 2020, played 61 games the following year, missed all of last season, only played 29 games this season and hasn't been in a game since January. Damn. He's missed about 169 games in his 4-year career. Number 1 pick in the draft, as we know, one of the most unique players the NBA has ever seen. Came in with a load of hype, but I don't know if he's lived up to it yet. So, copping or dropping this take, DA. It's time for the New Orleans Pelicans to strongly consider trade offers or options for Zion Williamson this summer. Talk to me, my brother. Copping or dropping?
I gotta drop it. I'm gonna continue to stand by Zion. It's like that meme. I'm gonna stand by him.
I know you got the shield on, brother. Talk to me.
I'm gonna continue to stand by him. The reason I say you have to drop it is because he's so talented, right? And I know it seems like, a million years ago, but think back to the beginning of the season, pre-Zion injury, how good the Pelicans looked.
Yes.
Right? Like, we were the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, and the way the Western Conference is looking right now, with a healthy Zion, the Pelicans will be right there in the mix with a chance to come out of the Western Conference. So when you have a player who, when healthy, is a top 10 talent, you can't give up on him at 22, going to be 23 years old soon. You can't give him on that early, because let's say you do trade him. And the thing is, because of his injury history, you're not going to get great value. You're going to get maybe a couple role players, maybe a couple draft picks, but nothing near the value of a Zion Williamson. So you trade him, you get that back, and now you're going to be in search of a player like Zion Williamson. And what if he goes on to whatever team you trade him to, and now he's playing 55, 60 games a year? And the thing is, you mentioned earlier, he played 60 games his second season. So we know it's possible. We know that it's possible.
I mean, that's still not 82, brother, but 65.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, only role players are playing 82 games now. Like, no star players playing 82 games anymore. No. So that's what you want from your star player. You want 60, 65 games. And we know he's capable of doing that. If you give up on him and he turns into a guy who's consistently getting you 55, 60 games, now you're going to be so mad about whatever team you trade him to being a championship contender next 5 to 10 years while you're still in search of a player like Zion Williamson. So for me, I understand it's very frustrating. I'm from a Pelicans fan. It's a very frustrating season. Trust me, I get it. But you can't give up on him this early, because if you do, and he turns into a more durable guy with the potential he's shown, your franchise may never recover.
I like all those things that you said right here. But what I did notice that you said, DA, you set the bar very low for my man Zion right now. You said if he goes away and he plays 55 games, that's still not enough in my opinion. But I hear you, brother. So for this question, right, I'm going to have to disagree with you, brother. I'm confident on this one. I'm confident. Listen, I'm not saying to trade the man right now, right? So I'm not fully jumping off the ledge and saying trade the man. But I'm trying to say it, just, survey the market and see what the market is like. Now, you brought up before trading him, it might be difficult to trade. Now, I'm not saying to trade the guy for spare parts or, some role players or something like that. For me in particular, if I'm going to trade a Zion Williamson, it would have to be a star for star type of swap, in my opinion. So we know Zion, he's a once in a blue moon type of star. So the price tag is going to be very hefty for a guy like Zion Williamson on the open trade market. He's a unique big man, as we know, short in stature, but plays much bigger than his size, efficient scorer. He can handle a little bit, explosive. He can shoot a little bit also when given the right opportunity. But I do need him to rebound the ball a lot better, bro. 7 rebounds from my power forward is not going to cut it, in my opinion. Now, listen, I understand players get hurt very often, especially now. Many a times, it's not their fault. But what I didn't like this season, right? And you tell me what you think about this. When Zion had the opportunity to come back for that crucial playing game to get you guys into the playoffs, and his camp allegedly said, we don't know if he's mentally ready to play or whatever the news was that came out, that part doesn't sit well with me, brother. And I really don't like it, because we know how much the Pelicans needed him to be in the lineup. If he was in the lineup, they would have been in the playoffs, and we all know this. They're a better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are scraps right now playing against the Denver Nuggets. Now, I don't want to question anyone's heart, brother, but it was just still very suspect to me to see him dunking in the shoot around, in the layup line of that playing game. What were you doing? Windmills, 360s, whatever the hell he was doing in that layup line. I didn't like to see that, my brother. So I'm not saying to question his heart, but how did you feel about that, seeing him in the layup line and looking mighty healthy, if I may add, in that layup line? What were you thinking at that point, brother?
So when I saw him warming up, he didn't look 100% to me. It wasn't the super explosive Zion that we saw at the beginning of the year, but he did look like somebody who could have gave it a go if he believed he can, right? And he had the part where he had the media availability at Pelicans practice right before the play-in game, where he was talking about how he didn't feel like Zion yet.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, that part didn't sit well. It didn't sit well with me at all. Because it's like, come on, bro. If you got TJ McCollum playing with a bad thumb, but you gotta get surgery on a torn labrum. You got Larry Nance Jr. playing through injuries. Brandon Ingram's been banged up all year. So we have a lot of players playing through injury, and you have to. You're never going to be 100% outside of game one.
Yes.
Like you're never going to be 100%. So that's something that he has to learn how to deal with. What's being hurt and what's being injured, right? And the thing is with him, it seems like whenever he's hurt, he's like, all right, I got to get back to 100% before I get out there, which it doesn't exist.
It never happens.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in the 82 game season. You got to learn how to play through pain. And if you can go, you got to go. So I definitely didn't like I got to wait till I feel like Zion again part of it. I feel like he was ill-equipped to answer the questions, which he shouldn't have been. He should have known exactly what was going to be asked.
4 years in the league, bro. You got to know how to answer them type of media questions, man.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I didn't like the way he went about it. Now, CJ McCollum came out and said that he wasn't fully ready physically either. And that's CJ, but CJ's media trained. He works for the media now. Exactly. So you expect him to be able to come and try to protect this guy and say it in a more articulate way. But for Zion, you have to be better than that at answering those questions. And once you start warming up and showing the fans like you're out here working out, we should be seeing you on the court within the next game or two after that.
Come on. Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. So I know it rubbed Twitter the wrong way. We know that any type of Zion video, any type of Zion video with him dunking or doing anything crazy out of the norm, they're already looking at it with a side eye. And I ain't gonna lie, I was looking at that shit with a side eye too. So I'm actually on their side with that one because I'm like, fam, if you're gonna be hurt or you know how crucial the game is, I won't even come out in warm-ups. I will be warming up 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 12 p.m., way before the media and the cameras get there to make sure I'm right. And I probably wouldn't have said anything. I would say, listen, man, when I'm ready to play, I'll give it a go. I would have just said something like that. So you brought up CJ McCollum. He made the right comments. I feel like he made some good comments. He said availability is important and everybody on the team has got to be available. So really quick, before we move on, right, because I wanted to ask you, is there any guy out there who you would trade or consider in a trade for Zion Williamson? Because I know you say you don't want to give up on the franchise because I feel like you're a little bit nervous just in case he goes to somewhere else and goes crazy. I feel like you're a little bit nervous. But if there were some solid trade offers on the table, would you consider or would you change your tune a little bit?
It would have to be somebody who other teams consider untradeable, right? It would have to be one of those type of guys, right? And other teams aren't giving up the Giannis's, they're not giving up the Lucas, they're not giving up those type of guys. So I don't see anybody who would be quote unquote tradable that I would give up for Zion to go somewhere else. Because that fear is, you're absolutely right. That fear is there. Like if he goes to a different team and starts balling out, you're going to hear me just do a rant.
I know you're going to be tight.
All the time.
I know. But I mean, we say some superstars or some stars are untradeable. A lot of people didn't think Kevin Durant was going to be traded this year, especially middle of the year. And what did he do? All carry over. What did they do? They requested a trade real quick and they got them up out of here within a matter of days. Basically, they got that trade. That's true. I'm not saying, Zion may ask for a trade, but maybe another star who's also a top 10 player, top 10, top 15 player, but also maybe looking to move on, or maybe a double star. You may get 2 for 1 because, listen, I think if Zion goes on the market, the media frenzy that it would be, I think would actually drive up the price for Zion Williamson. They could actually get more. So, I feel like it's just worth, looking into, not really making a trade, but just looking into, because we've seen there can be a top team with Zion Williamson. We've seen they have some of the proper pieces with them, with B.I., with McCollum, Jose, a bunch of other guys on our roster, Herb Jones, a couple of young pieces. But I'm just saying, maybe in the summertime, maybe over through the summer, I'm going to revisit this with you and see if you maybe change your tune a little bit, if somebody becomes available, brother.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying. And with Kevin Durant, some people may say I'm crazy, but Kevin Durant is 34 and already has his health issues as well. So the thing is, he's not going to get healthier. Yeah. With Zion, there's still a chance of him getting healthier and being more durable. With KD, that ship is sailed. You're only getting 50, 55 games at this point. Yeah. With Zion, there's still a chance of him becoming a healthier player throughout. So I wouldn't trade him for KD based off of that, because there's still that chance, right? And with Phoenix right now, you're just holding your breath, like Chris Paul, hopefully he stays healthy. KD, hopefully he stays healthy, and they have a chance to win a title, but you're still holding your breath on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna revisit this with you in the summertime, just in case. If we do hear some rumblings, I'm coming straight to you first, my brother. We might have to do an emergency episode at that point. So, all right. NBA playoffs, man. It's time to have the discussion what we all came here for. The NBA playoffs have been going on for about a week now. I semi-like what I'm seeing thus far in this particular playoff. There's been some high-energy games. There have been some close battles. Definitely a fair share of blowouts. But what we've seen a lot of in this postseason in the first week or so is injuries, right? So many players being injured once again, as is every playoffs, to be honest. But this one seemed to happen maybe a lot faster than in previous years in terms of injuries, right? So we couldn't even get through the damn first week without multiple stars getting hurt. Giannis, Hero, Oladipo, Embiid, John Morant, Kawhi, Steven Adams, PG, De'Aaron Fox now. Come on, all of these players are having injuries which have major implications on their team success in this playoffs, right? So unfortunately, DA, we know how this thing works. We know how this thing works, brother. The healthiest team to me always wins, in my opinion, in the playoffs or getting down into the later rounds of the postseason. What were your thoughts in seeing all of these injuries? Are you fazed by it, or are you just like, man, it's just a regular Tuesday in the NBA?
It has been a little more than normal this year, especially when you think about that it was the second day where both Ja and Giannis got hurt on very similar plays. And so this year's been a little bit more bad luck than usual. So it's like, dang, it sucks, right? And you just can't really do anything about it. But the thing that made me really think about it was we have all through regular season, we talk about load management and how it's supposed to prevent injuries. Some of this stuff is not preventable. Like you're going to have injuries. So I don't get the load management thing of, okay, we're doing this so these players can be fresh for the playoffs, especially the face of load management. Kawhi Leonard is out. So when you have the face of load management being out and not being able to get through the playoff run, what sense does it make for in the regular season? The one that really rubbed me the wrong way back in the beginning was when Golden State went to New Orleans twice and sat their players twice. Oh,
you were very vocal about that. I remember that, brother. Yes.
In New Orleans. So it's like, is sitting your players at the beginning of the year twice in the city because it's back-to-back, how's that going to help you come playoff time? I don't see that translating into keeping your players healthy, especially sometimes just freak accidents, right? De'Aaron Fox, fracturing his finger, that's just a freak accident. It happens sometimes.
Exactly.
So those things are going to happen. Unfortunately, it's just been a little more this year than normal.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't have said that any better, man, for real. So, but with that being said, the games still go on, the playoffs still go on, no matter who's hurt and who's available and who's not. So let's discuss each of these series and give our takeaways from each one of these series in the first couple of games. Now, we recording this on Monday, so, a lot could change when this comes out. Somebody else could get hurt. There could be a major decision in some of the series, but we're going to do the best we can to really go through these series and give our takeaways. And DA is a perfect person to bring in for this episode because I know he's watching every game. I can't even count on everybody to watch every single game, but I know I can count on this brother to watch every single game. So let's discuss it. Got to talk about the first series, Warriors and Kings. The series is now 2-2, best of three, probably the most exciting first round series of the playoffs. Every game has been thrilling thus far. The Kings have had a major opportunity to go up 3-1 in this series, but they couldn't close out in that last game. Series stats, De'Aaron Fox averaging 31, 6 and 7, 2 steals. Sabonis giving you 16 and 12. Monk is giving you 17 and 4 off the bench. Barnes 13. On the Warriors side, Steph Curry is averaging 31, 5 and 3. Klay 20 and 4. Dre 8, 7 and 7. Wiggins giving you 19 and 5. De'Aaron Fox leading the Kings in points, assists, steals, and three-pointers made, but we will see how much this recent injury impacts the outcome of this series. My takeaway for this series, I have a few, but my first takeaway from this series, the Sacramento Kings don't care about your predictions. They don't care at all. The Sacramento Kings, they don't look scared at all, my brother, and they're putting the league on notice. I'm gonna tell you right now, if anyone wants to fill out a Sacramento Kings apology form, they're gonna have to wait in line. They have been impressive going toe-to-toe in this series. D Fox is a superstar blooming right in front of our eyes and has been all year. One of the series keys, actually he's going toe-to-toe with Steph Curry in this series, but one of the other series keys for me is Davion Mitchell. I spoke about it on Twitter. He's become a star in his role and has been all year. His defense and his energy off the bench, to me, has been contagious for the Kings lineup. And they, to me, are really blossoming into a full-fledged unit who is really maximizing their parts of their team in order to make the team better. They're maximizing their spare parts. So we got to give a lot of credit to Mike Brown for giving the right minutes, for dispersing a lot of the right minutes for his personnel. And I really like what I'm seeing from Davion Mitchell. So I'm going to go over with you. First takeaway from this series, what have you seen so far, brother?
I think the Kings are the better team and can win this series if they avoid the young mistakes, right? And in game 4, towards the end, we saw some young mistakes.
Yes.
Right, where one possession that really stood out to me, they got a rebound, I'm going to say maybe 50 seconds left, and Malik Monk drives down, and instead of taking it back out, he tries to go over both Klay Thompson, and I believe it was Draymond who came over to help. And instead of, you have time, and Doris Burke said it on the show, she was like, you have so much time, you don't have to rush into these possessions, and that's part of them showing their youth, of rushing into certain possessions. In the last possession of the game, where De'Aaron Fox goes into the backcourt to get it, instead of coming towards the ball, I thought was a big thing because not only did he get the ball in the backcourt, but he kind of relaxed. And I was like, why are you chilling as you're coming back across? Like, I didn't like the lack of urgency there, which led to them having to give the ball to Harrison Barnes for the last second shot. It was a good shot, but Harrison Barnes isn't the guy you want taking that shot. And he had Malik Monk on the other side. So if he would have tried to drop to the other side and forced him to help, now you have a better shooter and Malik Monk taking that shot compared to Harrison Barnes. So just young mistakes have kept the Warriors in this series, but I believe the Kings are the better team. Another just quick takeaway, for the people who love advanced analytics and love to point to that to show how good players are, Domantas Sabonis is killing y'all for the advanced analytics. He's nowhere to be found in this series. All his advanced analytics and him being the darling and all that stuff. Once you put somebody on him who's quick enough to stay with him, because normally he has a quickness advantage against other bigs. And that's how he thrives. He's able to get to his left hand, get to the rim and do his thing. But one thing I noticed when watching him against the Pelicans, whenever we put Larry Nance in the game, he couldn't do anything because Larry Nance is quick enough to stay with him. And he wasn't able to use that advantage. This series, you got Looney, you got Draymond. Those guys are quick enough to stay with Domantas Sabonis. And Sabonis has been very ordinary in this series. It's been all on Monk and Fox. In game 4, Keegan Murray showed up. So it's all for those other guys why the Kings have looked good, but Sabonis has looked very, very average in this series.
Yeah, I agree with you. And he's, when I talked about in my series preview, he's one of the keys in my series preview, because I said, if he can dominate the paint, if he's dominant enough where the Warriors are forced to keep Looney on the floor, I think that's advantage for the Kings. But he hasn't been dominant enough where they have to keep Looney on the floor. There's still at times of the game where they're putting Draymond on him and Draymond at the 5. And we all know from watching the Warriors over the years, that's their best lineup when Draymond Green is at the 5, Wiggins at the 4, whoever you want to put at the 4, Poole at the 3, whichever you want to do. DiVincenzo can play the 3 a lot more. He's been playing a lot more recently. So he's been solid. Don't get me wrong. He's been solid, but he hasn't been dominant enough. He has been on the glass. He has been playing well. He's been dominant in other ways, in terms of pissing off Draymond and those two getting into their little scuffles. He's been dominant in being a nuisance, but I don't know if he's been as dominant enough with the Kings, where he has become the advantage for the Kings, right? His defense, has been a little bit suspect. His energy has been there. He's been playing a little rough. He's throwing a couple of elbows. He's throwing his shoulder and he's playing some, tight end basketball right now. He's playing basketball. He's playing like Mike All-Star or something right now in the paint. But I gotta say this. I agree with you that I gotta say one thing. Well, actually, before we go there, right? Since we're on the topic of Sabonis, did you feel like the suspension was warranted for Draymond with the kick? Is it a kick, a stomp, whatever the hell you want to call it? Do you feel like the suspension was warranted? We spoke about this online a little bit, but I want you to tell the people. Do you feel like Draymond suspension was warranted for the kickback, I guess, on Domantas Sabonis in the series?
Yeah, actually, I was surprised that I was in the minority on that. I did think that the suspension was warranted because me and you both play basketball. We didn't play at the NBA level, but we both, have been lifelong basketball players, and we've been in certain situations like that. And once he got his leg free, it wasn't like he was off balance. So some people were like, oh, he was off balance. He was trying to get his leg free. No, he got his leg free. And in that second decided, I'm tired of this. I'm going to step on this man right now. That's what he decided to do. And again, Domantas Sabonis was wrong for grabbing, right? Definitely wrong. That's a foul. You can even say a technical foul. But he took it to a whole different level when he decided to step on him not only step on him, but then put all of his 235 pounds on him and jump off of because some people was like, yo, he stepped on him, then he jumped over him. No, he didn't jump over him. He stepped on him and then jumped off of him.
Bro, you're being nice. That was a stomp, DA. Come on. Yes. That was a stomp, brother. That was a Kirk Franklin stomp that he did that he did on him. After you felt him grabbing his leg, he got a little pissed off. He got a little tight. Then he tried to say in the media that they've been grabbing his leg all series and shit like that, yada, yada, yada. Come on, fam. Yeah. You got suspended because you were annoyed that, I said Sabonis was playing a little Mike All-Star basketball right now in the paint, so I understand why you could be a little annoyed, you know what I'm saying, that bunch of the shoulders, a bunch of the elbows in the paint, but to act like you didn't purposely stomp on the guy, come on. I said it to you in your comments. I said, if that shit is happening in the park, he's getting rocked. It's a two-piece after that. Or automatic, I'm getting off the floor and I'm two-piecing you because you could have hurt my ribs, you could have bruised his ribs, it could have been a lot more serious than it actually was. So the fact that people are really capping online that this wasn't I'm gonna go as far as premeditated. As soon as he grabbed his foot, he made a decision, I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna stomp on this guy. And do I think it was suspension worthy? Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think it should have even been a question for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was so surprised. Like when I came out and said the suspension was right, the NBA made the right decision, and like pretty much 90% of the responses were saying I was wrong about that. And I was like, wow, like this is kind of crazy. And it, like you said, a lot of people haven't played ball at all, and you can see like in that situation, they're just thinking about it like, oh, he's frustrated, so he has the right to react. We all have been in situations where we've been done wrong, not even just on basketball, but in life. You can't just respond and do it any type of way you want to. That's why, there's rules and regulations to all the things that we do. You can't just respond the way you want to. You have to be able to, handle it in an adult way. And Draymond, being a veteran in the NBA, knowing that they're going to try to get at him, right? He has a history of not being able to handle these situations. He knows what they're going to do. Mike Brown knows him very well. He should have known going into this series, they're going to try to get under my skin. They're going to try to get me suspended. And he fell for it in a major way.
Absolutely. You know what I think Mike Brown had on the bulletin board, on the whiteboard in the locker room? Piss Draymond off is one of the keys to this series. Yeah. And they doing it. They doing it right now. So, but Sabonis, if that was your job, brother, you were doing a hell of a job of that. I'll tell you that right now. For sure. That's
the one thing Sabonis is doing well in this series. Him rebounding and pissing Draymond off.
Exactly. And for all of the extra commentary, commentary. Damn, what's going on with me today? For all that extra commentary, people are not talking about how much the Warriors are getting away with these illegal screens. These illegal screens are damn near murder on the floor. Now listen, this shit has been happening for years. So this is not the first time I've said it. I know people, every time I talk about the Warriors, they want to say I'm a hater, every time I talk about these guys, because I'm telling the truth. But let's be real, family. These illegal screens, I'm going to put the graphic up of some of these illegal screens of how crazy and egregious some of these shits are. But they are getting away with murder with some of these illegal screens. So for them to be complaining about refs, JJ Redick complaining, a couple of people in the national media complaining that the Warriors are not getting a fair whistle. Stop it, brother. Are these illegal screens fair to you, or am I hating again?
No, they've been doing the illegal screens for a long time. That's a big part of their offense, right? Because they want to screen and get Steph open, screen and get Clay open, Jordan Poole, so on and so forth. And the funny thing is, them not realizing their screens are illegal almost cost them in this game, because the reason Steph called that timeout at the end when they didn't have it is because he forgot they lost it in that challenge with Looney, which was clearly an illegal screen that he got caught on when he screened Monk. So it almost cost them because they had a chance because of that. Sacramento had a chance at the end to win it. They've been doing illegal screens for a long time. They move. Draymond will move 2 or 3 feet. Like it's crazy with Draymond. Like he will move so far to make sure he gets a piece of you on that screen, because he knows Clay and Steph only need so much room to get that shot off.
Exactly.
Yeah, they've been getting away for years.
Come on, man. That's ridiculous. So stop the lying. All right, stop the lying. All you people who call me a Warriors hater or whatever you want to say, stop the lying. You guys are getting away with murder. I'm going to leave it on that. Let's get to the next series, my man. Suns and Clippers. One of my favorite series. Everybody knows why it's one of my favorite series that I'm paying attention to the most. We know that, right? Currently, the Suns are up 3-1. Obviously, we know Kawhi and PG has been out, unfortunately, but it still has been A highly competitive series, I would say nonetheless. Some of the series stats: Book 34, 4 and 5, 2 steals and a block. KD 27, 8 and 6. CP3 13, 6 and 8, 2 steals and a block. 8 and 14, 11, 0 blocks, 0 steals. Talk about that. Kawhi Leonard 34, 6 and 6. Russ 26, 7 and 7. Norman Powell giving 20 off the bench as well. My first takeaway from this series, brother. This is the most focused I've ever seen Devin Booker in a playoff series. He's locked in from the tip, in my opinion. Devin Booker's defense has gone to another level this postseason. Playoff leading 2.8 steals per game in this postseason. Over a block per game in this postseason. Opponents are shooting just under 40% against him individually overall. He's defended more shots than anyone else in the postseason and is the leading scorer in the playoffs thus far. Devin Booker is on a mission, and I'm here for it, brother. In my series preview, I said, this series is Devin Booker's series, and this series is the series for him to win his direct matchup, because his direct matchup is out in Paul George, and he's doing just that. So I can't say anything wrong about Devin Booker. He's been the most impressive player in the postseason thus far for me, along with Kawhi Leonard. I got to take him out now because he's been injured. So if not for Kawhi, Devin Booker has been the best player in the postseason thus far, and I love what I'm seeing from Devin Booker. So takeaways from you, or you want to respond to anything I said? Talk to me, brother.
No, I'm definitely with you on Devin Booker. He's been balling out in this series. But it's weird to me that you're getting this amazing performance from Devin Booker. KD's been playing well. You even gotten some good kind of vintage performances from Chris Paul at certain parts of the games. And these games have still been very, very competitive, like you said. And part of me is like, are we worried about the Suns in the next series where most likely they'll play Denver? Mm-hmm. Are we worried because we're not seeing them be able to put this Clippers team away with Russell Westbrook, Powell, and, no disrespect to other guys, but they're guys. Mm-hmm. So when you no longer have your two best players, and you got Russ trying to bring back old OKC Russ along with the other guys, these games shouldn't be as competitive as they are. So part of me is like, why are these games so close when the Suns are pretty much healthy out there going against this just super banged up Clippers team?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna respond to that. I disagree. I actually still expected these games to be close because the Clippers are not your ordinary average 4 seed. To me, when healthy, they can be a number 1 seed in the West. They could be a number 1 seed in the league when healthy. So because the Clippers are, and everybody voted them, one of the deepest teams in the league coming into the season. Remember, people are forgetting John Wall is not even on this team anymore, and he was on this team to begin the year. So he's a piece that's not even on the squad that can also, actually, they could have really used John Wall in this playoffs right now. They kind of crazy for letting him go now that I think about it, with all those people being out. But to me, because they are one of the deepest teams in the league, and they do have a lot of really stout, smart perimeter defenders, and they have one of the best coaches in the league in Ty Lue, I don't think it's easy to just put a team like that away. And you saying that, the Suns are still up 3-1, brother. It's not like it's 2-2 or maybe the Suns are down 1-3. They still up 3-1. So I know the games have been close, but in the playoffs, you got to take a win as you can get it at all. You got to take a win any way you could get it. So I do agree with you. Maybe they shouldn't have been as close, but I didn't expect to put away the Clippers very easily, in my opinion. So I can see what you're saying.
I can see where you're coming from with that part, because they are a very deep team. That's one of the reasons I thought this series would be close. Yeah. When Kawhi was healthy. Yeah. Because I was like, from 4 to 12, the Clippers got it. Yeah. Right. From that standpoint. Exactly. So I was like, okay, because of that, they'll be able to keep the series close. But once Kawhi went out, I'm like, and it just so disappointing, man. Because Kawhi is one of my favorite players of all time. Me too. I love those type of players, like the two-way players who could do it on both ends. Kawhi, Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, those type of guys. And Kawhi was playing so well in those first 2 games, man. Yep. And to have him out.
He's the best
really,
player in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best player in the playoffs. And Russ and Kawhi have been amazing this series. Russ in particular, the heart, the tenacity, the energy that Russ has been given this series has been great. Kawhi has been typical cyborg Kawhi. As we know, he's really solidified himself as that dude when he's healthy. The problem is him being healthy, we know, of course. But Kawhi has been absolutely amazing in this postseason. And if he can play it next year, or if he can even come back in this series, who knows? I'm expecting Kawhi to be typical top 5 player in the league as he's always been. So to me, I'm not surprised by anything Kawhi Leonard has been doing at all.
Yeah.
A takeaway from you before I go to my next one, or?
For that series, that's pretty much all I got right now. As far as just, we got to see them against a fully healthy team. So hopefully we get them against Denver next round and we see exactly where Phoenix is.
Oh yeah. But before we move on, I still have a couple more takeaways from this series because I wouldn't be right if I didn't give my 2 cents in this particular series, right? I got to talk about my guy CP3, right? I got to show him some love because, nobody else wants to show my man some love. So I'm going to do the shit, all right? All right, listen, CP3 isn't given enough credit for altering his game for the betterment of the team this particular season. Twice, he came into this season bringing the ball up a lot less. When KD got here, he's done it a lot more. On Twitter, I said it a couple of days ago that I wanted to applaud CP3 for realizing that he can't always bring the ball up the floor every possession anymore. A lot of teams know that's the game plan against him. Your Pelicans actually gave the game plan to the world last year that that's the way to really disrupt Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns offense is by having a guy 94 feet against Chris Paul, really disrupting him, and which can disrupt the Suns offense. And I just want to applaud him for finally realizing, he's a stubborn guy. So him finally realizing that he's got to give that shit up and give it to KD to bring it down the floor. Give it to Devin Booker to come down the floor because they need those rhythm touches and they need those rhythm feels. And it is better on the team if he doesn't always initiate the offense because it makes them a lot more dynamic. And listen, I want to give a little bit more credit to my man CP3 because I don't know if people are not checking this, but even though Chris Paul is not scoring the best, he's doing all of the other little things on the floor for the Phoenix Suns. I don't even know if you know this right now, DA, but Chris Paul is averaging more blocks than the starting center of the Phoenix Suns right now. I'm going to leave that right there. Chris Paul is averaging more blocks than the starting center of the Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton. I was about to cuss. That shit, that is ridiculous, my brother. Ridiculous. Listen, this man is 37 years old doing this, so nobody gonna show no love to CP. You know how Twitter is, DA. You know the deal, but I don't give a damn. I'm showing my son some love. But am I wrong on that? Do you see him doing the little things?
Yeah, no, he's doing everything. He's been rebounding great in this series as well.
Come on.
He's definitely doing everything out there that you need him to do as the third guy, right? And this is honestly the first time in his career where he's in that position where he's the third guy on the squad. And he's accepting that position well and doing all the small things. And I knew that you were going to be critical of Ayton. I knew
you know it, man. I'm sick of this. I'm being nice, though. I'm being nice.
But yeah, Ayton, man, I knew that was one of my keys. I was like, how is he going to handle the physicality of Zubac, right?
Yep.
And at times he has not handled it well. He's had his little different moments here and there where, he got a little mid-range jumper going at different times during this series. But Ayton, man,
Zubac's outplaying him this series. I don't care what the numbers say. Yeah. Zubac's outplaying him this series. Outplaying him.
Yeah. I agree with that. And for him to be a former number 1 overall pick, I think that's something that people forget. That he's a former number 1 overall pick. He's definitely not living up to that, but he'll be good enough for this squad because they have Durant, Booker, and CP3. So Ayton will be good enough there.
Exactly. And listen, I'm trying to be nice, right? Listen, the streets are lucky. DeAndre, you lucky DA is on this episode with me, because if this was a solo episode, I would have went off on you, my brother. I would have went off if there was a solo episode right now, because I'm sick of the bullshit. All right. So, but Ayton, you got another series to redeem yourself after this. You're gonna be playing against damn near the MVP of the league.
Quick moment, one quick thing. When he threw that ball like 5 feet over CP head and then got mad at CP.
The nerve to say he should have got that shit. You see, you asking me to get crazy on this, guys. Once Maxi Kleber put DA in a casket, I don't want to hear from him no more. I don't want to see shit. I need 20 and 15 from the guy to really, persuade my mind that he's doing what he's supposed to do. So,
that was crazy. He really looked at CP like it was his fault. I was like, bro, the man 30. First of all, I had 27 CP not catching that. Like, you threw it. Man.
Come on. Really quick too before we move on, I think KD needs to be a little bit more aggressive going into the next series. He's scoring well, but I don't feel like the scoring is as comfortable as he should be. I know a lot of people talk about the lack of depth too. So sometimes I think it's a little bit overblown in my opinion. People are complaining about the minutes of the starters. I think that's a little bit overblown too. But we're gonna see in the next series how much it actually matters for the depth. Anything else before we move on to the next series?
Oh, no, sir.
All right, let's do it. Knicks and Cavs right here. This is another very intriguing series that I had coming into the playoffs. I'm out here in New York City. The streets is wild. I've been trying to keep a little bit calm on Twitter. Everywhere else, the streets is kind of wild right now. I work over there by 34th, so the atmosphere around there is crazy. The Knicks have taken a commanded 3-1 series lead. Series stats, Brunson averaging 24, 4, and 5. Julius 14 and 7, but shooting 32% from the floor. RJ 16 and 4. Josh Hart 13 and 6. Donovan Mitchell, who came into the series as the best player in the series, averaging 22, 4, and 7. Garland 20 and 5. LeVert 14 and 4. Evan Mobley 10 and 10. I'm gonna start off with you right here, DA. What is your takeaway from this series, my brother? Talk to me.
My takeaway is the Dallas Mavericks should be absolutely sick right now. Like, Jalen Brunson is the best player in this series. You mentioned Julius Randle not playing well. So the fact that your second best player isn't playing well and Jalen Brunson still being able to get this team to a 3-1 lead, with, of course, the help of Josh Hart, who I'm a huge fan of. He's a former Pelican. I loved him on the Pelicans. And he's showing why Pelicans fans and even Trailblazers fans have been so big fans of him because he does so much on the court for you. And Brunson, man, whenever he gets a mismatch, you can see him just salivating. Like, this is all I'm about to eat. Like, this is it right here.
I'm ready.
Like, game one, whenever they put Osman on him, I was like, what are they doing, bro? Barbecue chicken alert.
Oh, damn, look at I got knocked on wood. We said barbecue chicken, brother.
Like, that was, like, as soon as he seen Osman on him, he's going to work. I love that he doesn't hesitate whenever he has a mismatch. And he's doing such a great job of controlling tempo. And how they're able to lock up this team in such a way is surprising to me. I didn't expect that. I picked the Cavs in 6. Obviously, I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. And
you got to love what the Knicks are doing on both ends of the court. And for the Cavs, I need more consistency from Garland. Of course, Mitchell was horrible in the last game, but you just need more from Garland. You need more from Mobley as far as an offensive threat.
Yes.
So I feel like they just have been exposed as far as a team that doesn't have enough offensively to stay with the Knicks.
Damn, you just had to take my takeaway from that last sentence. My first takeaway on my list, brother, the Cavs have been exposed in this series, bro. These boys are getting exposed. And listen, I was wrong too. I picked the Cavs in 7 in this series. I don't think they're going to win this series. The Knicks have really shown me that they have been and are the better team in this series. They have been exposed. Donovan Mitchell has, to me, I could be far-fetched, but I think he's folded a little bit with the pressure in this postseason. The Cavs are supposed to be the number 1 defensive team in the league, brother, but they must have forgot. Like my man Roy Jones Jr. said, they must have forgot right now that they are the number 1 defensive team in the league because they're not showing it at all. Jalen Brunson, you said before, is barbecue chicken, especially when he sees that ISO. They want to keep switching Jared Allen on him, Mobley on him. I don't care who's on him. If he's switching on him for that mid-range isolation, mid-range bucket, that's going in right now. Jalen Brunson has been the best player in this series, and I don't think anyone really chose that going into this series, so he gets a lot of love for that. And then also as well, Josh Hart has been the Knicks playoff MVP in this particular series. He's doing all the little things, all of the things that you can't quantify in stats. Hustle plays, offensive rebounds, running the floor, just annoying Donovan Mitchell, annoying Karis LeVert, Garland as well. He's doing a lot of the little things that the Knicks really need in this particular series. And he is the epitome of what you call a playoff performer, in my opinion. So I got to give a lot of love to Josh Hart and what he's been doing for the Knicks in this series. And he's really the key to me. In this particular series, he's been that guy.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job defensively on Donovan Mitchell. And in the third quarter of yesterday's game, you saw that the Cavs are like, okay, we're just going to go exclusively to Garland. We're going to give Mitchell a chance to just relax and keep Hart out of the play. And that's when you saw Garland kind of go off in that third quarter. And it seems like the offense ran smoother with Garland just running it, right? You saw Mobley getting layups and Jared Allen getting alley-oops when Garland was running the offense. So maybe that's an adjustment that the Cavs can make, is to try to have it more run through Garland instead of Mitchell. Because with Mitchell, he can play make, but it's not his first initial instinct.
Exactly.
With Garland, that's his instinct to play make and get everybody else involved. And I think the offense runs better when he's doing that. And they just still got to find that third guy consistently. That 3-and-D guy on the wing, right? Because sometimes you try Osman out there, he's barbecue chicken. Okoro, sometimes he's self-check. You just leave him out there and he can't make a shot.
Yep.
So they got to find that guy. LeVert's been okay, but he got to be more consistent as well. So I think they're going to have some soul searching to do this offseason to see how they can get to that next step.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I couldn't have said that any better. And quick 2 points before we move on. Evan Mobley, he doesn't get enough plays run for him, in my opinion, and he's just been non-existent in this particular series. I brought up one of my series keys was the matchup between the third scorer and each individual team. RJ Barrett is averaging, 16 or 19, I said, for this series? I forgot how much he's averaging. 16 for the series. 16. Evan Mobley is averaging 10. So, winner, RJ Barrett and the New York Knicks. So I said the person who wins that third scorer is going to win this series. It's looking like it right now. And also as well about the Knicks too, Julius Randle, that shit was weak, not talking to the media the last game. He was sitting there sulking or whatever the case may be because he had a bad game and then he was benched for the fourth quarter. But your team won, my brother. So that shows bad leadership. It was the right move. It shows bad leadership on your part. I know he wants to act like he's the leader of the team, but Jalen Brunson is the leader of this New York Knicks team. So I just wanted to say that I think the shit was kind of whack that Julius Randle is starting back his sulking shit again. So if the Knicks win this series and they go on, hopefully he's going to mature in the next series and realize you can't always get to shine on your squad.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's a great point right there. And as far as just like my last takeaway, the Knicks offensively haven't played the greatest and are still beating the Cavs.
Yep.
Right. That really shows you what the Cavs are doing offensively or the lack of what they're doing offensively. Because with Julius Randle playing bad, you didn't even mention Quickly. Like Quickly hasn't been like
he's been non-existent in this damn series.
Yeah, like he's on the back of a milk carton right now.
Yeah.
So when you think about the fact that Quickly and Randle haven't been there for you, and they're still winning these games, and a couple of them pretty easily, the Cavs got to be looking at themselves like, yo, what's going on right now? Absolutely.
And they're going to have some soul searching to do, especially if they lose this series. And if they lose it in 6, it's going to be more soul searching they're going to have to be doing it. Moving on. Lakers Grizzlies right now. Right now, the series is 2-1, but they're playing tonight, so that could possibly change tonight, depending on what happens. It could be 2-2, it could be 3-1. I'm hoping for a 2-2 series. Let's pray to the basketball gods. We get a 2-2 series after this. Series stats for this particular series: Ja 31-7-7, Triple J 20-6, Bane 19-4-3, only 38% from the floor. LeBron 24-10-4, AD 22-12-2 with 5 blocks per game in this series. Rui Hachimura came through in this series 21-5. Austin Reeves 16 points per game he's given. My takeaway from this series, I'm not that impressed with the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm gonna be honest. I know they winning this series right now, but I'm not that impressed with these brothers. I think, they're playing against a wounded team. I know they're gonna say, a lot of other teams are playing against a wounded team, but this Grizzlies team is very wounded. They are really wounded in this particular series. And, the Lakers are playing well. I'm going to give them their credit. I'm not saying that they haven't been playing well, but I feel like they can be playing better. And I feel like their game to take it up a couple of notch because I think LeBron can be better. He's averaging 24 in the series, but I don't think he's been overly great except for a couple of moments. I think AD can be a lot more aggressive in this series. I projected him to be. He's given 22. That's decent numbers on the surface, but I look past the numbers. I don't pay attention to numbers. I look at what you're giving me throughout the game. Are you dominating the game? Or are you making every possession count? Are you giving those loud baskets? I'm not getting a lot of loud baskets from AD. I'm getting some solid baskets, but that's not enough for me because he's a superstar in this league when healthy. So I just think I'm not that impressed with the Lakers. Something seems a little bit off in this series. I can't put my finger on it yet. Maybe looking for tonight, something may change, but I'm just saying I think the Lakers can actually go to another level in this postseason, and I'm waiting to see. That's my takeaway from this series so far.
I do agree that they can go to a different level, right? Because one of my takeaways going into the series was that Anthony Davis should dominate. Because in the regular season, he averaged 29 points, 20 rebounds on 56% shooting against the Grizzlies because they didn't have Steven Adams and then also didn't have Brandon Clark. So going into the series, like they lack size. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a great defensive player, but when it comes to guarding AD one-on-one, he can't do that. So you're like, why wouldn't Anthony Davis just be dominant? And if they have to start double teaming him, then he should get all the assists in the world because you have D'Lo who can shoot, you have Reeves who can shoot, you have Beasley who can shoot. So they can pass that ball around. Even LeBron's been making his three pretty decent in this series.
Yes, he has.
He shouldn't shoot as much, but he's been making that three on a pretty different.
Getting a little too trigger happy with that three, I'll be honest.
Yeah, he definitely is. But I think for him, he's like, okay, if we're winning, I can take this and just relax and shoot these threes and not put too much mileage on my body. He's trying to make sure he saves himself for when it's absolutely needed. For Memphis, I know that they're missing Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, but should it be this bad?
I know, right?
9 points in the first quarter? Like, should it be this bad? Like, what's going on with them where and you mentioned Bane. Bane, for some reason, struggles against this LA team. I don't know if it's the size of Vanderbilt when he's on him or just the size of the team overall, but he struggles against this team. And, Brooks, we know Brooks is very on and off, mostly off when it comes to his jumpers. Then you have Jaren Jackson Jr. has been playing pretty good. He's been pretty solid. But, Ja has a lot of empty points last game. Everybody, I saw the big thing on Twitter, 22 straight points.
They were empty-ass baskets, man. I don't give a shit about that.
It was a lot of empty baskets. I used a box analogy, like they got knocked out in the first round of that game. Yes. And in basketball, you just got to keep your ass whoop. It's not over. Like, you just got to keep getting that butt whooping throughout the game. That's what happened in game 3. So for me, I'm very surprised and disappointed in Memphis, while also not being the most impressed with LA.
I like those points that you made. DZ, I must say, I feel like you got a key to my cheat sheet over here in my notes, brother. Because you also brought up some shit that I was about to say. Desmond Payne, man. I was ready to go off on my son because I'm a big Desmond Payne guy. He's averaging for the series, 19 it was? But only 38% from the floor. Listen, Desmond Payne, the streets need more from you, brother. You got to step it up. That shit is not enough. John Moran is hurt. This is your squad right now. You got to be the leading scorer. John Moran, he's going to get his buckets no matter what, no matter who's guarding him. But it's up to you to really win this series for the Memphis Grizzlies. Like you said, I think he gets a little bit shook when he starts playing for the Lakers. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Bane was the one that was arguing with LeBron at the free throw line. I don't know if that was last year, I feel like, or whatever it was. But LeBron basically tried to sun him a little bit at the free throw line, and Bane wasn't having it. But ever since then, it looks like, he's been retreating back a little bit. And I don't like to see it, man, because I think Desmond Payne is a stud in this league, one of the better two guards in this league. And he's way too quiet in this playoffs. Way too quiet. So if the Grizzlies are going to win this series, I might need 30 from Desmond Payne. I might need 30. I might need 30 from Desmond Payne. Yeah. He's got to step up.
No, they need that type of game from him to be that guy where they're no longer just worrying about John on perimeter. And Jaren Jackson Jr. has been great, but you don't want to depend on his offense that much.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%. Real quick before we move on, what are your thoughts on this Dillon Brooks, LeBron James fiasco? Dillon Brooks is talking wild shit this playoffs, saying LeBron is too old. I don't respect nobody until they give me 40. Where are you on the Dillon Brooks scale? You love it, you like it, you love it, you hate it. How you feel about it, brother?
I'm neutral on it. Like, it's cool. Like, I see what Dillon Brooks is trying to do, because honestly, that's the best way for Memphis to win is if LeBron tries to score 40, right? Because Anthony Davis is the key. Anthony Davis is the biggest mismatch. So I think he's trying to get into LeBron's head and make LeBron be a score-first player. When LeBron, he's been around too long, and his nature is to be team first, right? So it's going to be hard to get him to the point where he's going to try to drop 40 on you. Now, if he does it in the just natural way of the game, cool, right? He can do that. He still has that in him every once in a while, but he's not going to force it because you're talking trash. Like, that's not going to happen. So Dillon Brooks, he's decent trash talker. But again, like with him, if he's somebody who, I feel like if he was a better shooter, like if he was somebody who gave you 37% from 3, then he'll be worth the trouble. But right now it's like, is he really worth what he brings, right? It's like, you get some cool memes. I like when I think you had the pimp named Slickback when he came to the arena with the perm hair. So he'll give you some cool stuff, but I just don't see like where he gets the confidence to talk the trash he does. Like I don't know where that comes from.
Listen, I hate you on that, brother, but I'm gonna be honest. I love it. I love this shit. I love it. Listen, I'm tired of players being all friendly shit with LeBron James. I love that he's actually bold enough to talk some shit. Now listen, it's not working. All right, listen, it's not working. He might not be going anywhere with this shit. He's just trying to, rally up the beast or whatever case may be. But I applaud the attempt. To annoy LeBron James, to give me some quotables. Listen, he giving me the intro to this episode right now. So I'm liking it right now. I'm not mad at Dillon Brooks, but because I have been feeling like LeBron James is cruising in this series right now. He hasn't really been tested. Nobody really is dropping 40 on him, so he's not playing no crazy defense like that. So if that's what we have to get a mad LeBron James or to get an annoyed LeBron James, I'm going to take it right now. And I'm just applauding him for, I guess, having the balls to actually say some shit, because there's too much buddy-buddy with LeBron James in particular, because, a lot of these players worrying about their media deals off the court, worrying about trying to get on the barbershop. They worrying about their own clutch deals. So I'm not going to lie. I'm a little happy that Dillon Brooks is bold enough to do it. That's all I'm going to say. It ain't working, but I'm happy that he even attempted.
I feel you on that part. Like, there are players that have been way too respectful of LeBron James. Like, once you get in the NBA, he's your peer. I understand that you looked up to him, and a lot of these players are so young that all they remember is LeBron as far as being the guy in the league. So I get from that standpoint, but once you get in the league, go at him. You got to go at his neck. So I definitely agree with that part.
Come on, man. You got to go at him. You can't let him get them easy buckets. Come on, you can't move out the way. Come on now. Bucks first Heat. Game 4 is tonight, going on right now as well as we are doing this episode. The Heat lead the series 2-1, but there's a major asterisk on this series. Giannis is back, my brother. So this is about to be a whole different series. The stats so far: Middleton 24-6-5, Drew 19-5-10, Portis 14-11, Jimmy B 34-6, Bam 17-8-4, Caleb Martin giving you a 14-5. My takeaway from this series thus far: the Bucks have turned the East upside down right now. Turn the East upside down with this Giannis injury. And I don't know what's going to happen in this series right now. This series is the one that's really up in the air the most. And if you look at the Miami Heat, I'm actually surprised. They have been the number one scoring team in the playoffs thus far. They lead in the playoffs in scoring, field goal percentage, and three-point percentage right now. So I don't know if they could survive this series because Giannis is back now. So it's about to get a little bit sticky. But the Heat, they're on thin ice right now. I'll say this. They're on thin ice right now. And I'm hoping they can really keep it going in this particular series because it's about to get real sticky. We only in game 4 right now. So depending on what's going to happen in this series, I'm looking to see where the Heat go from here and if they can actually take tonight's game too, because it's going to be real critical for the series.
Go down 3-1. Of course, they're still capable of coming back because they are the better team when fully healthy. And if Giannis is fully back, they can do that. But you definitely do not want to be in that hole against the Miami Heat team that is playing out of their minds. Like you mentioned, all those stats are the complete opposite of what they were during the regular season.
Yes.
They struggled from 3.
Yes.
They couldn't score. Like all this stuff that they're having trouble with. In the playoffs, they become this totally different team. Maybe they have taken on the personality of playoff Jimmy Butler, where they're like, okay, Jimmy Butler shows up in the playoffs, we're all going to show up in the playoffs. And maybe that's what's happening right now. With this series, man, my biggest takeaway is that injuries suck. Tyler Hero broke his hand. He's out. Giannis with the back.
Tough loss.
So you just like, this series has been affected the most by injuries, looking at it. So hopefully we get a healthy Giannis tonight and, the Bucks are able to play at full strength and we see the Heat be able to play at full strength as well because Jimmy Butler, I know, is dealing with a back issue as well. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we just get the rest of this series at full strength for these two teams and whoever gets to the second round is ready for that second round. Because if the Heat win, things gonna get crazy in New York because New York's they're like, oh, we got a shot against the Heat. Yeah. So people gonna be real hyped if the Heat mess around and win this series. So, but my biggest take, it's hard to really have a strategy takeaway because of all the injuries that have happened in this series. So the biggest thing is just like, hopefully these teams can get as healthy as possible going forward. Yeah,
I agree. That's why I said that my takeaway is that the East is upside down now with this. That's the one injury in the East that turns the shit upside down because if the Bucks lose in the first round, anybody win in the East. Anybody could win the East. So I agree. We're going to see what happens tonight and we're going to see if that series can go 7. I would like it to go 7 now because Giannis hasn't gotten a fair shake in the mini games that he's played. So we're going to see how he even feels after this game if he's enough. So we're going to see how that series shakes out. Nets in 76 is right here. The only series that's done so far. This is series sweep. The Philadelphia 76ers swept the Brooklyn Nets up out of here. I'm gonna actually call them the New Jersey Nets right now for getting swept, because this shit is ridiculous for me. This shit really pissed me off. I didn't even want to talk about this, guys. I wanted to skip this damn series because I'm trying not to talk emotional right now, but I'm gonna do it though. With the sweep, the Sixers actually finished the year 8-0 against the Nets, so they haven't even beaten them the entire year. Embiid gets hurt, kicking people in the series. Series stats so far: Embiid 20, 11 and 4, 2 blocks. James Harden 17, 5 and 8. Tobias 20 and 8. Maxey 21 and 5, being the leading scorer for the 76ers in the series. Mikal 23, 5 and 4. Cam Johnson 18 and 5. Spencer Dinwiddie 16 and 6. My takeaway from this series: can the 76ers get through a playoff run healthy? I don't know, my brother. I don't know if they can get through a whole playoff run healthy, because it's already happening once again. And this is deja vu over and over and over. Doc Rivers came out and said that Joel Embiid, his chances for being ready of the start of the next series are probably 50% at best. I don't know if I fully believe that, DA, because I feel like there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on with Doc Rivers. Yeah. You know, last season, we remember Joel Embiid, he suffered the, I think it was an orbital fracture or something like that in game one.
By Siakam.
Yeah, by Siakam. Damn, that was a wild-ass elbow by Siakam in that game last year. So this is damn near deja vu all over again, with Joel Embiid getting hurt in the first round. And I don't know what to think about this series, my brother. So talk to me. What are your thoughts on this series, and what is one of your takeaways of this series?
My takeaway was we saw a mature Philadelphia team. Outside of all the kicking and maybe the James Harden little flip off of the left hand into that area right there. So we saw a mature team, because I expected the Nets to get at least one win.
Yes.
Just off of,
I thought they was going to get two.
just off of game 3, first game at home, 76ers, take their foot off the gas a little bit, but they didn't. They didn't take their foot off the gas, and even with Embiid missing a game, still managed to finish the sweep and not play with their food. So I think this was a very mature series from them, even in game 1. The first few minutes of game 1, the ball movement they had to start the series, where you knew they was going to double Embiid, knew they was going to swarm him as soon as he got the ball. Yes. They didn't force it. They moved the ball around, got open shots, and it was a mature performance from Philadelphia for the series.
Yes, I agree. They definitely have been a mature team, and I remember early in the season, Doc Rivers, when he said this is a we season, not a me season for the Philadelphia 76ers. So they really have been embodying that this particular postseason, and they have been playing well. They've been really playing as a cohesive unit, and they are really sticking to the game plan. You talked about Embiid, him being doubled and triple teamed this series, and they've been handling that well, which I was very surprised by them doing that. They were moving the ball pretty well. Quick note on James Harden. I feel like he played a very smart series in this particular series, but I'm also a little bit worried about him. I don't know if you are. He shot 7 for 30 in the series in the paint against the Brooklyn Nets. He only gave you a 17 in this series. To me, that's not good enough, and that's definitely not going to get it done against the Boston Celtics in this series. So I like the intelligent basketball that James Harden has been playing this series, but the 76ers need more, brother. They're going to need about 20 to 25 out of James Harden if they're going to beat the Celtics, brother.
Yes, he's showing his age a little bit, right? And I feel weird saying that, because I'm like the same age as James Harden, but he's showing his age a little bit as far as just being able to finish at the rim. He's done a great job making threes, right? And he's gotten hot at certain times during the series. But when he drives to that rim and there's a tall figure there, you could tell it's in his head. And back in the day, it wasn't. Back in the day, he would attack that rim, and he's either going to get fouled, or he's going to get this bucket. And now it's not the same thing when he gets into that lane. So if you're a team watching this like Boston, okay, we're going to have Derek White or Marcus Smart get up in them, make them drive, and see what he can do at that basket, especially with a Robert Williams there. It's going to make it real tough there. So I'm definitely concerned about his lack of driving to the goal and his lack of finishing at the rim for sure.
I like how you brought up the age really quick, right? Because I had a thought about that. Something struck in my brain when you just said it, right? I mean, you talking about age. Is it age? Or is it an exit plan for James Harden? Now, listen to what I'm saying. If James Harden plays really bad in the postseason, right? Really bad in the Nets, and the 76ers go out in the second round, is it not an easier exit plan to head over there to Houston if he plays bad? And the 76ers are like, all right, maybe we can do this without James Harden, or maybe we don't need James Harden as much as we thought we did. And then it's a quicker, easier, calmer exit on over to Houston Rockets, because I'm hearing way too many rumblings right now about James Harden going to Houston. And I definitely think there's some juice to that rumor, in my opinion.
Okay, and Houston got Ime Udoka today.
Yeah, yep.
It's definitely something where, a lot of players respect him as a coach.
Yeah, that's a coach that James Harden would want to play for.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so I can see that, and maybe he realized that the grass wasn't greener once he left Houston.
Like, that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm saying. Is it? I know you brought up age, but is it really age, or is it a solid exit plan? Because we know James Harden has been known to quit on his teams, right? I'm gonna just keep it straight like that. He came over here in Brooklyn. I'm gonna be honest. He quit on the Nets. I don't care what anybody says. So we know he has it in him to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the 76ers go out crazy in this postseason, and then those rumblings come right back. Because even during the postseason, in the beginning of the postseason, Woj came out like game 1 or game 2 and already said there's been some serious consideration for James Harden going back to Houston. I'm like, why? Why now? Why is this coming out now? This shit is strange, but is it really strange, brother? You got to read the tea leaves. That's all I'm saying, man. I ain't trying to put that in the air, but I put it in the air.
Nah, you make a good point, because like you said, we know James Harden has been known once he's done in a situation, like, hey, I'm out of here. But with him, he's got so much noise about his lack of playoff success, right? The bad performances, the 2 for 9 or 2 for 11 performances that he's had in the playoffs, that I think he wants to, even if he leaves, he would be like, all right, y'all gonna miss me because I balled out in these playoffs.
Exactly.
He would much rather go out on that note than a bad note. But I wouldn't be shocked. Nothing with James Harden would shock me if he would go to Houston and want to take over that young squad and be that guy again.
Come on now. I would not be surprised. We're going to review. I'm going to at you on that. If you hear some shit like that, I'm going to at you on that, brother. Celtics and Hawks, so to move on to that series. Celtics lead the series 3-1. Series stats: Tatum 28, 9 and 4, Jaylen Brown 23 and 5, Marcus Smart 17, 4 and 6, Trae Young 26 and 9, DeJounte Murray 25, 7 and 5, John Collins was 7 and 5. I almost threw up when saying those numbers. 7 and 5. John Collins, really? What, bruh? Throw up on that shit. My takeaway: the Boston Celtics, right, may have the best playoff rotation in the NBA, in my opinion. Their top 8, to me, doesn't have any holes in that unit. Top 8. We get to 9, 10, get a little shaky. But top 8, to me, they don't really have a lot of holes. And I'm excited to see how Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown really progress in the next series. And I think they're ready for a long playoff run. And right now, this is just a fine-tuning for them, in my opinion. So I really like the Boston Celtics roster. And now with this Giannis injury, stakes are raising for them.
Yeah, now you make a great point. I love their roster. I love their depth, especially when Robert Williams is healthy.
Yeah.
It makes such an impact. It makes such an impact on defensive end for them. And my other takeaway would be, man, free my man Nick McMillan. Obviously, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't my man Nate McMillan's fault that Atlanta was struggling. This is just who they are as a team. I don't know. I'm a fan of Trae Young. I like his game. I think he's a phenomenal passer. Right. I think his passing is underrated. His playmaking is underrated. But with him, you have to build a team a certain way. Yeah. Right. And I don't know if you can build a team like the early 2000s 76ers and win in today's NBA. Right. When back then you could build a team around Allen Iverson like that back then and still have success. I don't know if that's possible today with the talent and the depth in the league to build a team like that. Yeah. So you have to ask the question, are they going to stay with Trae Young? Are they going to try to trade Trae Young in the offseason? Because they've obviously committed to the coach. Yeah. They've committed to Quinn. He's going to be their guy. So now you have to see if Trae Young's going to be a guy going forward, or do you try to rebuild with DeJounte Murray as your main guy and go from there? Because Murray, even though he's had times where he's lost his temper and he's not going to be playing because of that, he's been really good. You can see what he can do on both ends. With Trae Young, we know he's one end where he's going to be good at and one end where he's going to be very, very bad. So for me, going forward is going to be another team just like Cleveland. They got some soul searching to do in the offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And they definitely have some decisions to make when it comes to Trae Young, because I said it in an early episode. I don't remember what month it was when my boys came on the episode. And my dream trade scenario, and I brought this up, was in the offseason, Trae Young for Chris Middleton. I think that's a trade that should be visited in the offseason. I think both teams would benefit from that. If I would think it would have to be Chris Middleton and maybe a pick, or Chris Middleton and a player or something like that for Trae Young to really make it a little bit even. But I think both teams could benefit from that particular trade. And I think the Hawks are actually going to look into moving Trae Young. I don't think it's going to be public, but I think they're going to take some call offers for him. I'm not going to lie to you. I think they will.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think they'll take some, because they know that they've reached the limit with this particular team, right? And for some reason, John Collins is still there. And now you've held on to him so long, he's not playing well. You're not going to get rid of him now. Yeah. So he's going to be there. You stuck with him. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be Trae Young. It might be some other pieces that move, but they have to do some type of, not rebuild, but rebrand, if you will, of this team. To try to get this team to be better, because this particular squad ain't it.
Absolutely. I agree. And this team is going nowhere right now, so they got to make some moves. Last series before we close this out. Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, probably the most boring series out of them all right now. The Nuggets are, that shit is damn near over right now. The Nuggets are currently up 3-1 in this series. Series stats: Joker 25-11-8, Murray 25-6-6, Anthony Edwards 32-4-4, Karl Anthony Towns 16-10, Gobert 14-11. My takeaway from this series: the Denver Nuggets have not been challenged at all in this particular series. But boy, they better be ready next series, because we know who's coming next series. So them boys better be ready next series. I tell you that right now. And I don't care what I'm seeing from the Nuggets right here. I don't care what y'all want to throw at me about how they're dominating the T-Wolves. They are not dominating the Phoenix Suns like that. So they better be ready, because these boys have not been challenged at all in this particular series. And I may be very loud when it comes to that the next series. So my apologies ahead of time if I'm a little loud on that Nuggets Sun series, because I got a lot of Joker haters who be coming in my mentions, my comments, where I gotta set off, and you know my guy is there. So that's my takeaway from this series. I'm ready to get on to the next one, my brothers. What about you?
My biggest takeaway is, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Karl Anthony Towns just isn't that dude. Like, we have to accept the fact that he's just not that dude. You mentioned 16-10, but he's shooting 43% from the floor, 27% from three. And the thing is, he's supposed to be, the best, statistically, he's the best shooting man of all time, right? That's cool. Like, it's a nice little slogan to have in your resume. But what does it really mean? Nothing. When you're 7 feet tall and we can't depend on you when the series gets physical? Exactly. We can't depend on you to stay out of foul trouble. They can't depend on him to be the second guy. That's the thing. He's not even supposed to be the guy anymore. Anthony Edwards is the guy. We need you to be the second guy. You can't even handle that responsibility. So for me, if I'm the Timberwolves, we made the dumb decision. I'm speaking if I'm a Timberwolves person in their office. We made the dumb decision to get rid of Gobert, and we gave up way too much for him. We can't take it back. Let's at least trade Karl Anthony Towns and see if we can get a lot for him. See if some team sees the potential and is like enamored with him. Get a lot back from him and try to build around Anthony Edwards and whatever we get back, along with Rudy Gobert being there. But Karl Anthony Towns just isn't that guy and isn't going to help you win basketball games when it matters. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better. You're looking like a damn kitty cat right now. Listen, I don't know, what's it, 16 points? What's it, 16 points? Yes. Come on, man. He's not. I don't even know why you even brought him up, DA. He's not even worthy of a mention for not even scoring 20 points. He can't even be mentioned on this show, brother. I'm mad at you for even bringing him up. Just get this guy out of here right now. Get him out of here, yo. This is Anthony Edwards' team. It's his team. He's taking the reins. Cat, I don't want to hear from this dude again. I don't know what this is. Nah, I'm with you. I feel you. Like, the way you feel about DeAndre Ayton, that's the way I feel about Cat. Like, for years, I've been like, I don't understand why people believe in Karl Anthony Towns to be this guy. And it's one of those guys who puts up amazing stats, but you have to look beyond the stats. You have to actually watch the games and see that when it matters, he's going to get in foul trouble. Last year, honestly, they should have beaten Memphis last year in that series. And part of the reason they didn't beat them is because Karl-Anthony Towns, could stay out of foul trouble in certain situations. Came off small in big games. Like, he's just not that guy. And he's another one who's a former number 1 overall pick, and he's in year 8 now. So this is who he is. He's a guy who's going to put up great numbers in the regular season, but when it comes down to when it really matters, he's going to shrink in those moments.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better. And he can't even get a mention on this show on this. So he's forever nameless right now until I see 20 points for this guy. He's nameless in this season. So nameless guy, do better. Do better. Yeah, man, this is a great episode right here, brother. We really went through all of the playoff series, family. I hope y'all really appreciate that. We really covered every single playoff series, gave our thoughts on each one of them. Family, I appreciate you guys for joining me once again. Damian Adams, DA, my brother, I appreciate you for jumping on another episode with me on short notice, my man. You definitely are great to talk hoops with. You definitely welcome back on the show anytime. I feel like it's been too long since I had you on the last one to this one. So my bad on that, my brother, because you should be on here way often because we talk a lot of hoops. So my apologies on that, brother. So I appreciate you giving me the time, brother.
Oh, it's no problem at all, man. I love talking basketball with you. I'm always, whenever you want me on the show, I'm definitely down to come on. I got to have you on my show pretty soon. It's been way too long since I had you on my show, so I definitely got to have you on my show pretty soon. But thank you again, man. I truly, truly appreciate it. And for you guys out there, if you enjoyed me on Justin's show, you will enjoy my show as well. The real deal with Damian Adams on all podcast platforms. I'm going to drop a new episode tonight after the game. So go ahead and check it out. And if you're a boxing fan, I talk a lot of boxing on there.
Yes.
Basketball, football. And also I do a show called Rush Hour live on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be doing our mock draft because the NFL draft is coming up this week. So we'll be doing that. We have George Teague on the show, former Dallas Cowboy, coming on the show to do the mock draft with us. So go ahead and check that out.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you again, man. I always appreciate talking basketball with you, bro. Great
brother, it's always love for me, my brother. Family, make sure you check out his show. Make sure you check out all the shows, all the great work that Damian Adams has been doing. He's one of the great brothers in this business, in this podcasting game, one of the great knowledgeable sports fans. He gives you a little bit of everything on his show. So show my man some love. Make sure you tuning in. Make sure you supporting my man also as well. Appreciate you, like I said, my brother. Family. What was I gonna say? Make sure you hit me up with all your thoughts. Also as well, IG, Twitter, Facebook with all your NBA takes. Send a voicemail 908-718-1592. Write down your playoff predictions in the comments. You want to scream at me? You want to scream at DA? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is episode 203, and we out.